Well, shoot. Movie's coming out. Game just got apology DLC. Can't really put it off anymore, can I? Time to talk about a game franchise that I love, and hands down the worst game in it. I absolutely adore the Five Nights at Freddy's games. It was a simple yet fresh and frightening concept. You play as the security guard at a family restaurant and the animatronic mascots are out to kill you, and you have nothing to fend them off with except a few cameras, lights, and doors to keep them out of your office. Survive to 6 a.m. without running out of power, or else you're dead. The Freddy's games have been flanderized as just being a series of jump scares that play when you die, but the real secret sauce is the atmosphere and the mechanics. You're locked in a dark, confined space, taking an entirely passive role against the monsters, and even freaking out too much will kill you because you need to carefully manage time and resources. That's immersive and scary as hell, with chillingly dark ambiance and atmosphere only enhancing the effect. But I also admire how creator Scott Cawthon refused to rest on his laurels and tried to radically change up the gameplay with every new installment to keep trying new things. These games were an engrossing internet phenomenon as well, with gamers ravenously tearing into each new release looking for secrets, as each new installment added tantalizing pieces to a fascinating overarching storyline. And the series has spawned a fun and immensely talented fan base that has turned out a steady supply of fan games, shit-scary analog horror videos, hilarious animations, and amazing music to keep the characters alive. Seriously, the Living Tombstone song is so iconic to the franchise, it's just taken as read that it's going to play over the movie's end credits. But sadly, all good things must come to an end, and after 6 mainline games, 3 tie-in books, an epilogue game, and a scandal involving contributions to some shitty politicians, Scott Cawthon stepped back from Five Nights at Freddy's and handed it to indie developer Steel Wool Studios. And this is where I kinda fell out with the franchise. Steel Wool rang in their tenure with the fantastic Five Nights at Freddy's Help Wanted, one of the few VR games to actually be a game. Then they made a mobile game called Special Delivery, which introduced a ton of weird characters like Easter Chocolate Bonnie and Mr. Freeze Freddy. These have to be jokes, right? And then Scott started writing an anthology series called Fazbear Frights that just do whatever weird shit they want because they're non-canon. Only they are canon, but they can't be canon because several characters have different names, but only some specific details are canon. This franchise lore is only so convoluted because it encompasses an inbreeding multiverse. And then Steel Wool completely shit the bed with 2021's Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. Security Breach was the most ambitious Freddy's title by a mile, upping the ante to an open-world stealth game with multiple quests, Metroidvania-style upgrades, and an AI partner with a friendly Freddy animatronic helping you out. That's a huge step up from sitting in one office locking doors. So how did the biggest and boldest Five Nights at Freddy's game let down so many clamoring fans? I'll be honest, this is the most I've dreaded a review subject in a long time. I'm not good at stealth games, and I don't play many horror games. This is gonna be rough. The game begins by introducing us to the game's animatronics, Glamrock Freddy, Glamrock Chica, and the new kids Roxanne Wolf and Montgomery Gator, all themed after 80s rockers. They all walk onto a stage in front of hundreds of screaming fans to play a rock song that has no lyrics. Odd. I always imagined the animatronics singing Dead Man's Party, mix of fun and open death threat. Freddy has a glitch that will never be mentioned in-game again and crashes on stage, and he wakes up in a dressing room with a kid in his gut. Freddy's picked up a stowaway named Gregory, who somehow got inside Freddy's chest cavity after he collapsed on a public stage.
My stomach hatch? That place is reserved for oversized birthday cakes and piñatas.
Yeah, that's not what Freddy's chest cavity is for. Gregory doesn't want to get caught by the security guard Vanessa, so now he's trapped in this mall/indoor amusement park called the Pizza Plex, and he has to escape by 6 a.m. or else, bad stuff happens. I don't know, I'm too busy trying to figure out how the Pizza Plex exists. Five Nights at Freddy's 6 ended the series about as decisively as it gets. Fazbear Entertainment does not exist anymore, and all the remaining characters got locked in a furnace and incinerated. Help Wanted even made sure not to reference the 6th game at all to keep its timeline vague and to preserve the true ending. But now Security Breach has loads of cues spelling out very explicitly that this is long after the 6th game, so apparently Fazbear Entertainment has rebounded from multiple bankruptcies to not existing to being big enough to open its own theme park. How? Please tell me I don't have to read those goddamn tie-in prequel books to understand all this. Whatever, the environment is still a really cool and creative location, like this early museum of animatronic parts full of references to... Is that Shadow Bonnie? Is that Ennard? How does anybody in universe even know who either of those are? Ennard is an improvised amalgam of the sister location animatronics who haphazardly cobbled themselves together to disembowel a guy and wear him as a meat suit and then hid in a sewer. Yeah, take a picture with that, dude! Alright, let's get the elephant in the room right now. I'm playing Security Breach on the PlayStation 4, and it runs like flaming trash on this platform. Every single time that I step into an area that's even slightly open, the frame rate chugs like Gregory's drunk. The game had to stop and load in the middle of areas or even in the middle of single rooms, and there were several near misses where the game just stopped for several seconds, like I swear it was an inch away from freezing. And this is all after I made sure to install 15 gigs of patches before even turning the game on. I shouldn't be surprised. Help Wanted on the Switch is so glitchy that it refuses to launch if my console is docked, and it crashes like a bitch. Steel Wool badly needs to learn that they can't handle multi-platform releases yet. You shipped 2 broken games in a row! Anyway, Security Breach is a stealth game where Freddy will give you an objective that you need to reach to obtain some MacGuffin or to access a new area and move the plot forward. To get there, you have to sneak through a bunch of enemies. By and large, there are 2 enemy types. The main animatronics, Chica, Roxy, and Monty, all patrol the areas, and if they spot you, they chase you. And if they catch you, you lose. It's extremely difficult to lose them once spotted because you can only outrun them for a brief time, and using a hiding spot only works if you're out of sight. Which rarely happens. Your best bet of losing an animatronic is to round as many corners as you can and just hope that their abysmal pathfinding gets them stuck long enough to lose you, since weapons to fend them off aren't available until several hours in. It never really feels consistent what loses an animatronic. Just run like hell and hope for the best. Seriously, there were so damn many times I got jumped and spotted out of nowhere early game. I took to crouching everywhere that I went, because crouch running is somehow a thing. The other far more common enemies are the staff droids, which patrol pretty much every key area with flashlights, and if they spot you, they summon one of the animatronics to your location. Staff droids are the bane of most every player's existence. They're very fast, they turn in rapid circles really often, their hit detection is extremely biased against you, they're placed everywhere, especially in common areas, and there are way too many of the damned things. Their only saving grace is that they're predictable if you have the patience to map out their patrol routes. To assist in the stealth, you have a Faz Watch, which lets you tap into nearby security cameras to scout out the enemies. Except the cameras have their own problems, because the game is so poorly optimized that cameras can take a full minute to load in properly. This screen full of static is not on purpose, the game's just taking eons to load a basic gameplay mechanic! Come on, man, I've got robots after me and the Faz Watch doesn't pause the game. Load! Of course, even when the cameras work, I found they only rarely show you the actual animatronics. You'll hear them to know that they're in the area, but the game gives you next to zero tools to know where they actually are at any given time. Getting around an animatronic almost always involves a mulligan death so you can find the blasted things. But those aren't the only enemies in the game, unfortunately. At the start of the game, you blunder through the entrance looking for customer service and Glamrock gifts before you're told to go to the Daycare for a security badge that opens doors. Once you're in the Daycare, you awkwardly phase through balls. Yeah, cheap animation's the common theme here, since I lost count of how many doors open automatically by smacking you square in the face. But as soon as you grab the badge in Daycare, the game locks up, because it won't register my holding the button to exit this hint card. Half an hour in, and my first game breaker bug. And then you're thrown into the game's very first boss fight. This is Moon. And I friggin' hate Moon. You have to make your way through a jumbled samey maze of tunnels trying to turn on 5 generators, all while Moon is constantly stalking you. The maze is so closed in that you have basically zero idea of where Moon is at any given time. You can't outrun him for long, you have no map or ability to see paths in advance to help navigate. Your only help for avoiding the boss is a bright light if he's already right on top of you. And before you bring up Baldi's Basics, which is pretty much this same gameplay mode stretched out to an entire release, Baldi gives you actual tools to repel or stall him temporarily. The only thing that slows down Moon is a single distraction in the middle of nowhere. What, you thought the bad guy who makes a big deal out of hating light is vulnerable to the flashlight that you just got? Wrongo! Baldi's map is also built out of big corridors so that you can see him coming and plan ahead. You don't fight Baldi in an environment where you can easily get stuck by clipping into the environment. But the other key difference is that Baldi doesn't cheat! Whether by glitch or deliberate shitty design, Moon is able to teleport throughout the maze whenever he damn well pleases, and judging by this death here, he can also kill you through solid walls! Yeah, get me an instant replay on that shit! Brilliant move, putting the worst boss in the game by leaps and bounds right at the start so that players are sick to death of playing before they even begin. As I sit here getting curb stomped by the friggin' Daycare robot, I'm starting to wonder, what am I doing here? Why am I invested into whether or not Gregory gets caught by friggin' Moon? Do these animatronics even kill people? There's no indication that they're homicidal or haunted, so is getting caught really all that bad? The other Freddy's games spell out very clearly that if you get caught, you die! Cease to be, pulsus terminatus, shuffle off the mortal coil! The animatronics were possessed by pissed off ghosts that will not rest until you expire! But in Security Breach, it's just poor, precious Gregory doesn't want to get caught by security. They'll kick him out of the Pizza Plex when he just wants to get out of the Pizza Plex. No, Gregory has to escape on his own because sleeping it off in a bin where the animatronics won't find him just isn't an option, apparently. I'm just saying, every time one of these cheap shit animatronics dick slaps me from around a blind corner, I get a little less sympathetic to Gregory's plight. I ended up turning to walkthroughs to beat this rat bastard. Moon only climbs into the play areas to chase you after you've hit 3 of the 5 generators, at which point most guides agree the fight is pure luck. Your best bet is to save the 2 easiest generators for last to cheese the fight as short as possible. The sick thing is, this is still the patched version of this fight. At launch, the cables to the generators weren't marked at all, so you were effed trying to find generators, and you were effed trying to remember which ones you'd already done. But now I've got a strategy. I've hit all the generators except for the red one because I always trip over it on accident. I've triggered the distraction to keep Moon off my back. I'm finally going to beat this mother... I can't move. The game froze. My winning run after an hour stuck here, and the game froze! Oh, damn it, I got turned around and ran into a corner. That was such a good run, and it just went, you having some problems there, Moon? Like, I should be mega dead by now, what gives? I don't know what happened here. Either Moon got stuck on the terrain, or the game just took pity on me and glitched me invincible. I just slowly backed my way out, expecting to die, and then I was able to make a run for it and finally win this thing. So I beat the first boss by bugging him out. Nice. I can finally get out of this stupid... Chica? You doing okay there, girl? The next big problem with the game is figuring out where the hell you're supposed to go. After beating Moon, Freddy tells you to go to the Super Starcade through a roll-up door to find the next area. And I really hope you wrote that down, because Freddy will not remind you. It is not written in your watch's objectives, and it sure ain't marked on my map.
You can access the main atrium with your new security badge.
Okay, where is that?
You should be able to obtain one from the greeter on the center balcony.
Okay, where is that? There are so many times in this game where you're just sent into an area infested with one-shot kill enemies and left to blunder around in circles with no direction until you find your objective on pure accident. It's the closest thing to a core gameplay loop. Having to sneak absolutely everywhere you go under constant threat of a quick game over gets utterly exhausting really damn fast. The game not telling you where to go on top of that? Kiss my ass! Freddy sends you to get to another security office. You sneak to 2 separate unmarked doors that turn up locked, so I really hope an animatronic wasn't in hot pursuit. And then Freddy just throws up his hands and says, find some other way into the office. At which point you basically wander for eternity, because you're supposed to find a tiny vent tucked into a remote corner behind a bunch of arcade machines. You're supposed to know it's there because of an unmarked anonymous gray line on your map, which incidentally, just about the only thing that's ever shown on your map. Seriously, this map is useless. It's supposed to mark locked doors, but it doesn't. It doesn't even have general area names to give any hint of where stuff is. Freddy claims that he marks objectives on it, but he never does. You can't even zoom in on the damn thing to see where you're going. But after loads of sneaks and wandering, I get to the fire escape that Freddy sent me to find. And it's locked.
Do not think there is a way to reach it without becoming a VIP. It is not a very good emergency system.
You mean you sent me ass deep into enemy territory to reach a door you knew I couldn't open? Are we sure that Freddy's on my side here? On the way out, Gregory gets jumped by Vanessa, the security guard, and fans of Help Wanted who paid for the Curse of Dreadbear DLC will know that Vanessa is secretly Vanny, an acolyte of William Afton, the undead serial killer who's the main villain of the series. Non-fans will be confused as balls because the game never once explains Vanessa or why there's a dancing bunny girl who's out to kill you. She drops you in the Lost and Found, you run away, and that's it! She's gone. 2 games of build-up, and she does nothing! Next, you need to take Freddy to parts and service because he's just broken out of nowhere all of a sudden. And to do that, you have to sneak to the stage, which involves blundering through a pitch-dark room where Roxy keeps attacking you out of nowhere. And when I was editing this section, I found this fantastic clip of Roxy's hair phasing through her entire body. Plus a very tight hallway of like a half-dozen staff bots to where a single timing screw-up is pretty much guaranteed to send you back. And then you need to sneak past all 3 animatronics to hit a soundstage. I'll just check the cameras to scout out the robots. I'm on floor 2. Why are you only showing me the cameras from the floor above me? Buggy piece of shit! This was when I discovered 2 fascinating quirks to the enemy AI. For one, the enemies cannot use the stairs. Roxy wouldn't follow me upstairs, and Chica wouldn't follow me down them. I don't know if this is a game bug or a deliberate shout-out to RoboCop. The other enemy quirk I discovered is that it doesn't matter if they can follow you upstairs or not. The shitters can teleport! If a staff bot catches you, one of the animatronics will warp instantaneously to your location, whether they should be able to reach you or not. Whether they're even in the area or not. Roxy can't climb the stairs, so a staff bot warped her up the stairs. Oh, what, you don't believe me? Here, watch this. I'm walking down this hallway, and you can clearly see there is not a single animatronic anywhere in sight. The coast is as clear as it gets, but I accidentally got caught by one of the staff bots, and oh, what a coincidence! Roxy is now very suddenly standing 2 friggin' feet behind me! So it's not just that the game teleports them off screen, it has decent odds of dropping one square on your face! You cheating sack of crap! So yeah, getting caught by a mere staff bot is still a death sentence unless you're extremely lucky, and if it hasn't been stressed enough yet, look at all the blasted things! Screw my questions about the Pizza Plex. How is Fazbear Entertainment rich enough to afford an entire army of staff robots? They've gone out of business twice! I will say that not everything in the game is a rampaging dumpster fire. There are little bits here and there that I like. Setting aside that it makes no sense in context of the franchise, the Pizza Plex is a really cool and gorgeously detailed location. The new animatronics have a lot of personality, being now fully voiced with tons of dialogue and some character moments. It's easy to see why Monty and Roxy resonated so hard with the fans.
Freddy, get out of my room!
And not just because Roxy became overnight furry bait, flirtatious and scantily clad to where even the security offices have weird sexy pictures of her. Yeah, sorry, no, Roxy doesn't do anything for me. I'm not really into the whole killer robot vibe. The only robot lady I'm really into is RC from Transformers. That girl is fine. There are brief moments of genuine creativity and good design work in the gameplay. Every time you grab a security card, the office locks down for some kind of minigame. The level 2 office has Roxy and Monty spawn in the area, and you fend them off by closing the doors only when absolutely necessary so you don't run out of power. It's straight out of a classic Freddy's game. Except for when I ran out of power but still beat it because Monty got stuck in the doorway. So that's 2 levels that I've beaten with glitches. Do I hear 3? The level 3 office, Roxy and Monty come at you through 4 doors that you monitor on the cameras to electrocute them while watching other monitors for Freddy to guide him through an escape hatch. And when you need to save Freddy from parts and services, there's a harrowing sequence where you have to cross a maze filled with endoskeletons. It's telegraphed right off the bat that they only move if you aren't looking at them. It's self-explanatory, it's scary, and it's fair. I finally found a good stretch of gameplay! And then you get screwed because the way out of this maze is a door off to the side where if you missed it, you're just kind of trapped in an insta-kill labyrinth because we have a quota of bullshit to hit per level, apparently. That's the frustrating thing about Security Breach. You keep catching glimpses of how good the game could have been with a bigger or more competent dev team. The story finally gets a bit of, well, story when you rescue Freddy from parts and service. Vanessa can't find any records on Gregory, suggesting some big secret to his past, and Freddy speculates that something is interfering with the animatronics since normally they're forbidden from harming guests. Our hero, Gregory, doesn't give a crap because each of the other animatronics has an upgrade that Freddy can use, so he just wants to kill them all, brainwashing or not.
Those parts belong to my friends.
They get what they deserve.
Okay, Gregory doesn't work as a protagonist. The heroes of the first 3 Freddy's games were completely anonymous, so you focus on the gameplay and you don't ask questions. And the heroes of 4, 5, and 6 get just enough backstory to know they aren't there by choice. With Gregory, they tried to do both and ended up with neither. They keep teasing that Gregory has some deep backstory and vital motives that drive the entirety of the game, but they keep refusing to actually tell you any of it. They want him to be a fleshed out character with tons of interaction with the game world, but they also want him to be a blank slate for the sake of immersion. It doesn't work that way. We can't get invested into a character's story if you refuse to tell us what that story is! What are the stakes here? Why is Gregory just hiding out until 6 a.m. not an option? Why is Gregory so deathly afraid of getting caught by security when we never get any hint that they actually hurt you? Yeah, they jump scare you, but so does the map droid, and he's not a threat!
Hi, please take this map. Take a map.
This is the difference between an $8 half-hour indie game and a $40 10-hour AAA release. If you're going to try and tell an hours-long story, you need an actual lead character to do it! This is the point in the game where Freddy isn't perpetually broken and you can use him for gameplay. At any point you can climb inside Freddy and render yourself completely invincible. Enemies can't kill you, nobody notices your presence, and even alerted enemies will completely lose you. The catch is that Freddy runs out of power pretty quickly, and if you're inside him when he hits 0, he eats you. So Freddy is your very best friend in the whole wide world, up until he needs a snack. To recharge Freddy, you need to visit a recharge station, and luckily these stations are friggin' everywhere, as well as the only thing that's ever marked on your map. And so it is completely trivial to cheese Freddy to completely bypass every stealth encounter from this point onward. I am so not even kidding about that. The horror stealth game lets you march invincibly through all the enemies with just a little backtracking and a sliver of common sense. This is like if Resident Evil just casually let you switch to Superman at a moment's notice. But of course, like every gameplay mechanic, Freddy's got enough bugs to open an insectarium. You can summon Freddy to your location with the push of a button, but Freddy's pathfinding is inconceivably glitchy. Odds are pretty good that he'll run entire laps around the Pizza Plex to reach you in the next room. Which is baffling, because he also has powers of teleportation. Freddy? 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 Yes, I'm very impressed with your powers to bend time and space. You don't have to do it every time I call you. Freddy? Freddy, I'm 2 feet away, Freddy. You don't need to teleport away and run back again. Let's take Freddy into the elevator with me so he doesn't have to hike miles to reach the next area. Well, he almost got in here with me. You're going to want to micromanage Freddy constantly to keep him by your side at all times. Call him continuously so that he's always on hand and so he doesn't ditch you. Especially because if you call Freddy while you're on the move, Freddy goes to the spot where you first summoned him, which is how you get shit like this.
See, he loves you, but he just stupid.
The next quest is to either grab a laser gun from the Phaser Blast attraction or a Phaz Cam from the Mini Golf attraction.
I have marked both locations on your map.
Yeah, if you actually marked something on this useless-ass map, I will go eat out the garbage with Chica. Where's the mark on my map, Freddy? My map's empty, Freddy! Freddy? Well, I've heard the camera weapon is busted, so let's go there. The mini golf course is a big maze full of tightly patrolling security guards with crazy small margins of error. Man, somebody probably put a lot of effort into designing this intricate level. It'd be a real shame if I climbed into my invincible Freddy suit and just walked straight through it and solved the whole level in 2 minutes! Which I did! Now I've got a camera that stuns all the robots, and it must be pretty powerful because one time I used it on accident and it hit Freddy from several yards away, square behind me.
Freddy, what are you doing?
The only robot the Flash doesn't affect is Monty because he wears sunglasses. Which is funny because later I still hit Freddy with the Flash through a solid brick wall. What, is this camera strapped with a flashbang? Also, I love using the camera flash on Chica because when you stun her, it sounds like she screams profanity at you. I half wondered if I broke the game at this point because I didn't get a new objective once I had the camera. I just happened to get a ticket to the Mazer size area and kinda guessed that's where I go next. Freddy tells you there's a switch in the next area, so I wandered the maze for like 15 minutes only to find there's no exit because the switch that makes the maze solvable is in a room at the entrance. And you can't actually operate the switch because you need a key, and the key's in the Daycare, which is clear on the other side of the game world. Okay, now you're just stalling me, you padded sack of crap. Oh good, another recharge station. Let's call in Freddy. Freddy, where did you just run out from? Were you in the bathroom? How and why were you in the bathroom? Well, were you done? Did you wash your hands first? There are so damn many staff droids patrolling this area, sometimes doubling up with each other, and the margins for avoiding them are getting thinner and thinner. It is far more effective and preserving to my own sanity to just call Freddy to bypass all these stealth sections. Even when I track down the key to the maze, which sets off a ton of endoskeletons you need to wade through, Freddy's got enough juice to just skip yet another entire ass gameplay section. It's like a level skipping cheat code without needing the actual code. Geez, these droids look kinda tight. I better call in Freddy for help. Freddy? Freddy? Freddy's not coming. Either I pissed him off about his bathroom break or he's stuck in a wall somewhere. The maze's interface doesn't make the slightest bit of sense. At one point I opened up the exit but somehow managed to block off both entrances. But I finally solved the damn thing and I got to Monty's boss fight. Rock and roll. Jeez, no wonder Monty's so pissed off all the time. He's got broken glass in his eyes. He's not supposed to look like that. It's just that even the character models are busted on PS4. Monty's boss fight is actually pretty neat once you figure out how it works. You're on a series of catwalks and you have to use cannons to shoot and charge a bucket, all while being chased by Monty. I thought it was random luck when Monty spots you, but it turns out this fight was bugged to where the game will keep playing that "you've been spotted" musical sting when I was perfectly fine. The game is now trying to gaslight me into thinking that it's harder. One teabagging the likes of which have never been seen later, and Monty is dead, and you can give his claws to Freddy. Now he has an upgrade that lets him tear down some kind of barriers. I don't know which. There's like 3 minor fences all game that take this power. This upgrade does nothing. Freddy just drops all pretense that you're actually trying to escape and tells you to go to Roxy Raceway so that you can kill her next. And the Pizza Plex's layout is so ass-backwards confusing that there are about 3 entrances into the raceway mixed in with 3 paths that lead nowhere.
Winner.
Ah, balls! I don't remember the last time I saved. I'm gonna lose so much time in progress. Yeah, Roxy's after me. It's crawling with guards. Gotta watch Freddy's power. I know, I need to find a robot head. Where's the goddamn save point? I wandered Roxy Raceway for half a damn hour trying to find this robot head that you need to advance. My patience would be shot if I couldn't do this from inside a Fazbear-themed Iron Man suit. This supposed horror stealth game has devolved into just invincibly walking from fetch quest to fetch quest. How do you fail that hard? Turns out the head is tucked inside a corner and hidden inside an unmarked patch of scenery. After the entire rest of the game has trained you that important items are in clearly marked gift boxes, and then you still have to piss off to the arcade to actually use it. Throughout the raceway, you find messages that something is buried beneath the Pizza Plex sucking power, and you find the obvious final boss elevator that requires all the animatronic upgrades to reach. Also this. Why is the underside of the raceway on fire? Does the fire actually kill you? Fire can't jump scare you. Wow, Roxy, you really let yourself go. You're looking rougher than this game was at launch. Seriously, why do the animatronics degrade as the game goes on? They're not getting caught in traps or starting brawls. They're just wandering around and they look like they're about to fall apart. Are Freddy and Roxy raw dogging it when I'm not around? Is that why Freddy doesn't always come when I call him and why he always looks so happy? Is that what Freddy's always doing in the bathroom? Seriously, dude, if you need to dump, I can wait.
When I step onto the West Arcade dance floor, I cannot stop myself.
Oh, I'm so boned. You can't take Freddy into the arcade. I actually have to play this game now and prove that I don't suck at it. In the arcade, you have to explore till you find the office on the top floor, then the power gets cut, and then you have to find and throw 5 circuit breakers, starting at the very bottom floor and working your way back up. This whole time you're being hunted by staff droids that leave 0 room for error, and Chica, and Monty, because getting chopped in half somehow didn't put him out of commission, and on top of... What in the hell is that now? The catch is you have to do all of this without saving, and while I beat this on my first try, I came milliseconds away from having to redo a solid 15 minutes of insta-kill sneaking. Chica caught me going for the very last objective but I somehow managed to interrupt her jump scare with the camera. And honestly, I'm not even certain that my camera was supposed to have been charged at the time. I think I was saved by another game bug. After, of course, getting screwed by game bugs because they kept refusing to tell me when the damn camera was recharged. So Gregory drives a go-kart into Roxy's face and rips her eyes out, which you'd think would knock the bitch down for, like, a few minutes? Maybe? No, instead you have an impromptu boss fight where Roxy is just hard-coded to know exactly where you are at all times, despite, being blind. Well, I'll check the cameras. I'm in a completely new area of the map and I have no idea where I'm supposed to... Hey! You cheating sack of shit! Roxy somehow saw me get into a hiding spot with those eyes that she doesn't have! So while you're fleeing in a panic from the insta-kill boss, you're supposed to notice several decrepit doors, and you're supposed to notice that Roxy's behavior has changed to where she goes up to you, coils up, and then charges you to smash those doors, but you're also supposed to notice that she only actually does that if you've backed yourself against a wall. You want to quiz me on the colors of her toenails while you're at it? Cripes. So you install Roxy's eyes inside Freddy, and it's finally 6 a.m., so you have to run to the exit before Moon gets you. This part is timed, and in my experience, you're just barely given enough time to reach the exit if you memorize the exact path from parts and service to the entrance. And if you screw it up, you have to redo Freddy's LASIK eye surgery because you don't get to save. But at least this only took me 2 tries to... Wait, no! Telefragging cheat bastard! Gregory prepares to exit the Pizza Plex, but Freddy can't leave, so you have to choose whether to stay or to go.
Do not return. It will never be safe.
If I leave now, nothing will change, will it? There will be more disappearances.
Yes.
Wait, what? So, Gregory's secret backstory is that he came to the Pizza Plex to investigate missing persons, and you're only just bringing it up now at the very end of the main campaign? Okay, 1, we needed this information hours ago so we know the damn point to this meandering, aimless-ass story. 2, Gregory has done 0 investigation the entire game, nor expressed any desire to investigate a single thing. 3, none of the emails that I've tracked down have mentioned any missing persons either. And 4, Freddy talks like he knows that the Pizza Plex is a missing person factory with some great evil, and he hasn't mentioned a damn thing about it either. What was all that crap about how the other animatronics couldn't possibly hurt someone and something else must be driving them nuts? Sounds like you've known that shit's going down for a while now, Freddy! This whole plot turn seriously feels like it comes out of nowhere. Was there an early draft of this game where you played a private investigator trying to solve this mystery, but they decided that playing as a kid would be scarier and mashing the ideas turned to crap? Where did this come from? But yeah, if you decide to leave the Pizza Plex at 6 a.m., you get a bad ending where it turns out that Gregory is homeless and then Vanny kills him. Oh yeah, Vanny. She was supposed to be important but was only around for like 20 seconds! And sheesh, they ran out of time to animate 30 seconds of cutscene, so it just turns into cheap-looking comic book panels. You're meant to stay behind to continue questing for one of the 5 alternative endings instead. And this is where we reach one of the biggest problems with Security Breach. The game does not have autosaves. You have to save manually at specific checkpoints. They almost always let you drop a save before a big event or after making some key progress, but there are still big stretches where the game denies you saves just to be a dick. But once you reach the end game and you need to start questing for a good ending, the game completely disables all of the save points permanently. All the objectives from here on out have to be done with 1 life, no continues, and no checkpoints. I mean, fuck me! I have never seen a video game openly hate its own players that much! I can only assume they did this because they didn't want players inadvertently getting locked out of certain endings, even though heading to the secret final boss locks you into that ending. But when you've got a one-shot kill stealth game that's bugged to high heaven where enemies openly teleport on top of you at will, and you have basically zero means of avoiding some of the enemies in the first place, disabling checkpoints is the single most openly spiteful move I think I've ever heard of. Steel Wool was pretty much forced at gunpoint to patch the save system, but even given a chance to fix the game's biggest and most notorious problem, they skirted past on the bare minimum. The patch adds in one single solitary save point in the atrium that you have to backtrack across all of creation constantly to log any progress. Steel Wool stuck to their guns of going, no, it's supposed to play like that. We screwed you on purpose! This, of course, is assuming you don't just glitch all the save points back on, which is apparently very easy to do. Anyway, you can go to the docks to get an ending where Freddy escapes with you. There's an ending where you torch the Pizza Plex with Freddy inside by going back to that obvious fire escape from earlier. There's another bad ending where you go fight Vanny and both she and Freddy die. And to get the good ending, you have to collect tons of hidden messages to figure out where some Princess Quest arcade machines are hidden to play minigames that somehow break Vanny's brainwashing so that you or her and Freddy all live happily ever after or some crap. But to get the game's true ending, you have to go fight the last remaining animatronic for Freddy's final upgrade and take him to the underground Doom Tunnel. So it's time to go fight Chica. Chica's hanging out in Phaser Blast, which is laser tag against a bunch of robots. You have to capture and defend 3 flags from waves of enemies, hoping that Chica isn't camping near one of the flags to where capturing is impossible. Which is exactly what she did. You find a pass to the bowling alley, which is where the employees stash Chica's favorite food, because, as Freddy himself says,
Chica goes cuckoo for Monty Mystery Mix.
Is there something wrong with me to where I hear, Chica goes cuckoo for Monty's Mystery Mix, and I think that it's a euphemism for his man chowder? Which, if it is, then good news, Chica. Monty isn't using his crotch anymore. Help yourself. And the game gives you 0 heads up that the alley is filled with endos that try to kill you once you grab the mix. So I trapped one in a door. Literally, I trapped him inside the door. Next you go to the kitchen, which you aren't really told is there, and I wandered this damn place for half an hour because it's full of empty rooms, dead ends, and unmarked paths to the laundry. But I placed the mystery mix in the trash compactor, flip on the generator, put the mystery mix in again because the game glitched to forget that I had done that, and I trashed Chica. You know, as an overweight fellow myself, abusing this poor girl's eating disorder to horrifically maim her and leave her mute, all as punish for having been brainwashed, really makes me feel like I'm the dick in this situation. Especially since Chica does see you in the cutscene, but she leaves you alone because you brought her favorite food. Next, you have to escape the vast caverns of trash that are apparently beneath the Pizza Plex by flipping on generators to open 3 doors. This was dirt simple, up until the 3rd one. I had no idea where the door is that this generator activates, so I ran like hell back out of this area, and because I left, the exit door glitched back closed. Now the only way forward is to die and to redo 20 minutes of lost work. And the Phaser Blaster sucks, by the way. It only stuns an animatronic if you land a headshot, and it only carries 6 shots with an eternity to reload. It's mildly useful if an enemy's charging at you or you manage to ambush them, but it pales next to the camera, which just nukes the entire room. Once you've demolished Chica, she makes virtually no sound so that you can never tell when she's near, and once Roxy has been demolished, she becomes immune to your weapons. The only animatronic that actually gets weaker after being shattered is Monty, and it's not because he's been cut in half, it's because he lost his sunglasses. But now I've got Chica's voice box installed into Freddy, which means Freddy has a brand new power. Press square inside him and Freddy will stun nearby animatronics. Really? Press square inside Freddy to stun animatronics. See, that's interesting because pushing square is also how you exit, Freddy, you broken piece of shit! This power is literally impossible to use. There's only like 10 unused buttons on the PS4 controller. You had to pick the one that's already spoken for? With Roxy's eyes, Freddy also has the power to spot all the collectibles and pickups through walls. I wish he didn't also spot all the items that you already collected, though, is a single mechanic that actually works right. Seriously too much to ask! The big twist reveal in the game's true ending is that buried beneath the Pizza Plex is the restaurant from Five Nights at Freddy's 6. And the mysterious force beneath the Pizza Plex that's been siphoning power and corrupting the animatronics is... Oh, you are so full of shit! This is the game's secret final boss. It's Springtrap, aka William Afton, the serial killer and main villain from the other Five Nights at Freddy's games. The same Springtrap that got locked in a furnace and incinerated along with all the other animatronics at the end of the 6th game. The same Springtrap who then got an epilogue game about him literally being trapped in hell for all eternity. And now he's fine. You crapped over one of the most iconic moments of the franchise to bring back a tired old villain long past his prime.
The darkest pit of hell has opened to swallow you whole, so don't keep the devil waiting, old friend.
And yeah, Burntrap, as he's called here, has a bitchin' design, but was it really worth it? Who else is buried down here? Are we just gonna randomly find Funtime Freddy hanging out in all this? God damn it! That's Molten Freddy. Another enemy from the 6th game who's supposed to be dead. Only now he's called the Blob and filled with parts of old characters that there's no way should be here. So basically, the only people who actually died in the series' grand finale are the good guys who were working to stop this crap. Wonderful. Alright, Burntrap's boss fight is not explained at all, but it pretty much works the same as the security office encounters. Burntrap tries to mind control Freddy, so you look at 3 cameras until you find him and then you barbecue his ass. Beats me why being set on fire clearly didn't slow him down the last time. Or the time before that, come to think of it. While you're doing this, you get attacked once each by Chica, Monty, and Roxy, and the problem there is that you are not given any clues on how to handle Roxy. Freddy just tells you to hide when there's nowhere to hide. You're supposed to use Chica's voice box to ward Roxy off. The same voice box that I don't think I can use because some nincompoop mapped it to the exit button! So what the hell do I do? Oh, that works. Park Freddy in front of Roxy's door so that she can't get in. This also has a decent chance of bugging the rest of the fight so that certain enemies can't spawn. So that's a plus. Eventually, I guess the place collapses, the blob grabs Burntrap and does... I don't know. And Gregory and Freddy escape to a sunny hillside. You can tell this is the true ending because it's not drawn in crappy comic book panels. So, is Afton dead now? Did getting rid of him fix the other animatronics? Are Chica, Monty, and Roxy good again? Are they even still alive? Did this collapse beneath the Pizza Plex demolish the place? Do things actually get better with Burntrap gone? Oh, and what about Vanny? She doesn't factor into this ending at all, so is she still at large and brainwashed and cuckoo? How is it that the true ending resolves, like, nothing from the main game? Five Nights at Freddy's security breach is terrible. It seems to have been patched into, at bare minimum, a playable state from launch. That or I was just extremely lucky, but the patches just lay bare how terrible the core gameplay has always been. An endless litany of cheap and frustrating stealth sections laid out to where the game bounces between being exhausting and feeling unfair, unless you abuse mid-game tools that make the gameplay completely trivial. Outside of a few brief set pieces, the game is not scary. Your most dangerous opponent isn't any of the enemies, it's the save system that'll force you to redo a shitload of work if you get caught. And with terrible signposting making the game world confusing to navigate, plus needless padding and busy work to get anywhere, Security Breach is the poster child that not every franchise needs to go open world. The setting and characters are fun additions for fans of the franchise, but the story itself is so non-existent that all the new toys are barely utilized. You just run around trying to escape, then decide for flimsy reasons to kill the animatronics, then you were supposed to have been investigating this whole time, which goes by the wayside, so you basically just pick which villain's ending you want. You just run around collecting random crap, every now and then getting a feint towards a plot point that goes nowhere. It's easy to forget since they landed a massive IP, but Steel Wool is still, at its core, a small indie studio that tried to play in the big leagues with Security Breach, and they weren't ready for this big of an undertaking. Not just making such a big game, but then stretching meager resources even thinner by porting it to every console available with catastrophic results. They bit off way more than they could chew, and now we're the ones who suffer the consequences. And before you write in to tell me that the game wasn't all that bad, good games don't typically get apology DLC! About a year and a half after Security Breach's disastrous launch, Steel Wool released an expansion campaign called Ruin, and this expansion is completely free, in stark contrast to Help Wanted and its Curse of Dreadbear expansion. Because the message here is, Dear God, we're sorry, please forgive us! I didn't have time to play through Ruin and also get this video out on time, but it throws out pretty much everything that players hated from the main game. No staff bots, no save points, no recharging the flashlight, which I didn't worry about anyway because the camera has a built-in light that drains no power, and also no Gregory. Just a focus on creepy locales, scary set pieces with the animatronics, character moments emphasizing the tragedy of these animatronics, and building dread and mystery as to the secret that's still buried beneath the Pizza Plex. I've heard Ruin isn't a masterpiece by any means, but it's leaps and bounds above the base game, low a bar as that is. Ruin also introduces a new villain called the Mimic, which is worth mentioning because the Mimic was the main villain of the tie-in prequel books, and yet didn't warrant being mentioned in the core game one single time. Security Breach keeps charting new realms of how do you fail this badly? And if you think I was being too harsh on Gregory in the main game, Ruin's default bad ending has him throwing his best friend down an elevator shaft just on the off chance that it traps the Mimic. You little piece of shit! I'm glad your Robo-Dad kept eating you. Yeah, sorry I didn't have time to do Ruin, but if the video's not ready in time for Halloween, then we have this whole big... crap. Fill your pants with defecation!